Here's a challenge for you. Out of the 5 car maintenance myths we're about to cover, how many have you personally followed? 1, 2, maybe all of them? Most drivers think they're being responsible by following these habits, when in reality, they're just throwing money away. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which ones you've fallen for, and how to break free from advice that belongs in the past. Let's see if you're one of the rare drivers who can honestly say they don't believe in any of these myths. Number 1, premium gas always improves performance. Many drivers think putting premium gas in their car is like feeding it a gourmet meal. But is that actually true? The idea goes like this. Higher octane must mean higher quality. So it should make your car more powerful, run smoother, and maybe even last longer. It feels logical, and the ads at the pump certainly reinforce that idea. But just because something sounds like an upgrade doesn't mean your car actually needs it. Here's where the wallet pain begins. Premium gasoline is usually 20 to 30 cents more per gallon than regular, sometimes even higher. If you're filling up a 15-gallon tank once a week, that premium habit quickly becomes a $150 to $200 yearly drain. And for most vehicles, you're paying extra for absolutely nothing in return. The reality is clear. Unless your car's engine is engineered from the start to run on high-octane fuel, there's simply no gain. Sports cars and certain turbocharged engines are tuned to take advantage of premium fuel's resistance to knock, but the overwhelming majority of vehicles on the road, compact cars, crossovers, family sedans, aren't. For those, the higher octane just burns like regular gas without giving you more horsepower, mileage, or longevity. Experts have pointed out that most vehicles are calibrated for regular 87-octane fuel, which means the performance benefits people expect from premium are not unlocking anything at all. Still, you see plenty of drivers shelling out for premium even in cars that specifically say regular unleaded on the fuel door. Why do so many insist on it? Marketing plays a role, and so does the fear of missing out on some hidden benefit for engine health. The truth is simple. Unless your manufacturer recommends premium, those extra dollars are vanishing into thin air. And fuel isn't the only area where outdated advice is costing drivers. Some of the most common maintenance habits are draining wallets just as fast. Number 2, you must change oil every 3,000 miles. Generations of drivers swear by the 3,000-mile oil change. But is it more myth than maintenance? For decades, service shops and even some mechanics passed down the idea that if you didn't change your oil every few thousand miles, you were gambling with the life of your engine. It became less of a suggestion and more of a golden rule, with drivers trained to believe that frequent oil changes were the single most important factor in keeping a car running. But here's the mismatch. That advice came from a time when engines ran dirtier and oils broke down much faster than they do today. The oils available in the 1970s and 1980s couldn't last nearly as long as modern synthetic blends designed for the latest engines. Now, your car can often go 7,500 to even 10,000 miles between changes without any risk to its health. That difference isn't small. It's the kind of shift that can save hundreds of dollars each year, not to mention the extra trips and wasted time spent sitting in waiting rooms. So who gains from keeping the 3,000-mile cycle alive? Quick lube shops and dealerships. More visits mean more sales. And those constant reminders on windshield stickers push drivers to come back far earlier than they really need to. The truth is, your car isn't benefiting. The businesses collecting your money are. That raises an important question. If you ignore the sticker and rely on the interval recommended in the owner's manual, what actually happens? The answer is reassuring. Not only do engines hold up just as well, but you also reduce unnecessary waste and keep more money in your pocket. And while money slips away quickly following this outdated cycle, time does too. Something you'll see in the next costly routine drivers continue to believe in. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 3, warming up your car for minutes saves the engine. On a frosty morning, do you let your car idle for 10 minutes thinking it helps the engine? You might be shocked at the truth. For many drivers, it feels natural. Start the car, let it hum in the driveway, and only pull away once the inside is warm and the frost on the glass has melted. The routine seems comforting, almost responsible. But with modern cars, that habit is less about protecting the engine and more about wasting time, gas, and even money. The important thing to understand is that fuel-injected engines are entirely different from the old carbureted engines our parents and grandparents drove. Back then, fuel needed extra time to vaporize in cold weather, which is why idling made sense. Today's engines are designed to adjust fuel delivery instantly, so they don't need a long idle period to catch up. In fact, they reach their best operating temperature much faster while driving. Think about this scenario. You start your car on a cold January morning and let it sit for 10 minutes before heading off. If your car uses half a gallon of gas during that idle time, and you do this every day for 3 months, that could easily add up to 20 gallons of fuel wasted. Depending on gas prices, you could throw away close to $100 every winter just watching your driveway smoke. And here's something most people don't realize. Idling actually increases carbon buildup inside the engine because it's not under load. That buildup can shorten engine life instead of extending it. So, does heading out without a long warm-up damage your car? Not at all. Driving gently from the start gets everything up to temperature faster and avoids those wasted minutes. Which brings us to an even bigger misconception surrounding electric cars. Number 4. Electric cars don't need any maintenance. Some EV owners believe they've escaped car maintenance forever. But have they really? The perception is that once you go electric, you leave behind the never-ending cycle of oil changes, spark plugs, and exhaust repairs. That part is true. You don't need those anymore. But that doesn't mean your car suddenly becomes maintenance-free. In fact, the focus simply shifts to different systems that are just as vital. Think about it. Yes, an electric motor has fewer moving parts than a gasoline engine, which brings real advantages. But you're still putting thousands of pounds of metal and battery on 4 tires that wear out just like any other vehicle. Brakes still need service. Coolant runs through systems to keep the battery at the right temperature, and the high-voltage pack itself requires periodic checks. Skipping these responsibilities doesn't make them disappear. It just builds up problems that show up later. Here's where the costs can surprise you. While rare, replacing a battery pack can mean bills in the thousands, sometimes even higher than the value of an older EV. It's not something owners face often, but it shows why keeping the system monitored matters. Add in neglected tires that shorten range or worn brakes that compromise safety, and suddenly that maintenance-free car is expensive to keep on the road. That's why inspections and software updates are recommended as part of routine service. They don't take long, but they can prevent major failures most drivers underestimate. So ask yourself, how much would skipping these basics really cost you years down the line? EVs absolutely delivers savings by eliminating oil changes and exhaust work. But letting tire wear or battery health slide can erase those benefits quickly. And misleading advice doesn't just drain wallets. It often keeps drivers dependent on services they don't even need, like dealer-only restrictions. Number 5. Dealer service is always required to keep your warranty. Many believe skipping the dealership for an oil change can void their warranty. But is this myth keeping you tied down? It's an idea that makes plenty of drivers nervous. People assume that if they don't return to the dealer for every service, the automaker can reject a future warranty claim. This belief is so strong that many stick with dealerships even when they can't justify the higher prices. Dealer visits almost always cost more. For example, an oil change at a dealership might be priced around $90, while an independent shop could do the same job for $50. If you get oil changes 3 times a year, that's $120 extra annually. And over just 5 years, you've lost enough to cover bigger repairs or even a full set of tires. Multiply that with other services like brake jobs or fluid replacements, and dealership loyalty becomes a serious financial burden. The myths we covered might seem harmless, but together they drain hundreds, even thousands of dollars from drivers every year. They stay alive because they feel safe, like traditions passed down, yet most no longer apply to modern cars. Following them is less about protecting your vehicle and more about wasting money that could stay in your pocket. The smarter move is checking what your owner's manual actually says instead of relying on outdated advice. Smart car care isn't about doing more. It's about knowing what matters. In the end, knowledge saves more than maintenance myths ever could.